Thank you all for attending the session today. I know you're all busy, and we'll try to give you as much information as we possibly can in the time allotted. As Taylor mentioned, I'm Dave Brady, and I'm the immediate past president of Sun Produce Cooperative, which is a cooperative of small acreage farmers in Arizona. The title today is The Harvest is in What Now? Now, I've taken some literary liberties with the title, because if your harvest is in and you're just thinking about what you're going to do with it now, you probably shouldn't be in this session. You probably ought to be talking to your CPA or your bankruptcy attorney. So what I'm going to do today is to talk about the different ways that you can be, the different distribution channels that you can use for your produce. We have in our cooperative, we have some of our members that use every one of these methods, and some that only use one or two of the methods. So you can pretty much mix and match and come up with the distribution that best fits your particular farm. Also, Taylor mentioned that there may be folks that grow flowers and folks that are in the beef industry or in the protein industry, and a lot of this stuff will be applicable to you. We actually do sell flowers, both edible and ornamental, through our co-op. So there's this that I'm bringing to you today will apply to either one of you. But what we're going to be talking about today are farmers markets, farm stands, CSAs, wholesale distributors, direct wholesale sales, produce contributions, which is something that a lot of folks haven't considered as a distribution alternative, and agricultural cooperatives. The first one are farmers markets. That's that folks are most familiar with. You can get very good prices, at probably the best prices that you're going to get are from farmers markets. You get a great opportunity to talk to a wide variety of customers. And in fact, when I was doing farmers markets, this was the thing that I enjoyed more than anything else. The downside is that it's farmers market is time consuming. You have the time to prep, get set up, then you have the sales, and then possibly you might have a large percentage of your produce which is unsold. And in my instance, I was going to a couple of farmers markets a week, and I found that it was taking pretty close to a full working day to do each of these, and was days that kept me away from the actual farm. You may in some instances be required to pay a percentage of your sales to the market manager. This is in your larger markets. They actually have the farmers or any of the folks selling there to pay a percentage. In the smaller farmers markets, I was in a couple of smaller ones. They encourage farmers to show up, and they won't charge you. So there's trade-offs between each. If you're interested in finding a farmers market that might be near you, I encourage you to look at this farmersmarketonline.com, and it has virtually all the farmers markets in Arizona broken down by location. A second way is farm stands. And the farm stand in the picture you have here is from Pinnacle Farms, one of our members. They're very convenient, little or no travel. Your prices are still very good, comparable to what you would get in a farmer's market. And you can have minor to extensive infrastructure, meaning that it can be as simple as setting up 2 or 3 tables and maybe put them under a tree or put them under a canopy, to we have one of our farms that actually has a store, a physical facility that's set up as a store. So you can have that range. One of the things I ran into talking to different farmers that had farm stands is that self-serve is a good option. And at the time that didn't seem like it would work to me, that somebody just come along and take all your money out of the cash box. But everyone that I talked to said it worked really well for them. They didn't have to man the stand. They would just go out in the morning and get the sand set up, and then they would check on it throughout the day and swap out the produce. Advertising is really suggested, and it can be as simple as a bunch of sandwich boards that you put out. You find the one street that's got the most activity that's close to you, and then you start directing them in until they get to your farm. The farm stand itself can result, because the stuff's sitting out in the sun, unless it's a case like this. If you see at the Pinnacle, they've got some actual refrigeration there. But most farm stands that I've seen, the stuff is out. So you can be exposed to the possibility of a large percentage of spoiled produce. The next one is CSAs, which are community supported agriculture. The original concept, and I think it started in the Northeast of the US, would be that farmers would sell shares in their, could be from 2 months to 6 months, and they would sell the shares to help them then go back, buy their seed, get their ground done, and then every week they would harvest, and whatever the harvest was, they would divide it up among the number of shares that they sold. That's not what's happening right now in Arizona. Most of what we're doing right now is we'll set up, some of them are over a term of 2 to 3 months. In our case, it's per delivery, so that you just pay for each delivery. You can still get good prices, but we found that a lot of people will be comparing what a bag or a box of produce from your CSA would be to what if they purchased it in the store. And the stores, just as an aside, have become a competitive issue for us, particularly for the farm stands and for the farmers markets, because grocery stores didn't used to have sections set aside for local produce and organic produce, and you see a lot of that now. Fry's is constantly advertising their local and organic produce, and I think they're starting to impact what our target market used to be. It also requires CSA a variety of produce for each distribution. You can't just give them a 20-pound box of broccoli and assume they're going to be happy with it. So you've got to be growing a variety of products. Some of our growers will supplement their CSA boxes with purchases from other growers or from us to round out their boxes. You also might need an e-commerce website to advertise and manage your sales. There's a lot of third-party software that's out there. We started off with Shopify, and then we've moved to CSAware, and there's another one in California. It's called Local Harvest Market, and they're all very good. And it makes it, they handle all of the sales and the credit card handling, so it's a real easy thing to do. The minimum is usually about $150 a month, and then it goes up from there depending on the amount of sales. CSAs do require a lot of promotion and advertising. You have a lot of folks coming in and a lot of folks canceling, so you're constantly having to advertise. And then your distribution can be the farm itself, but it's generally closer to the customers. Now, if you're at a farmer's market consistently and at your farm stand consistently, you can use those sites to handle your CSA. So you get a 2-for-1 bang out of it that way. Another distribution is the wholesale distributors. Now, this is a really clean and simple way to move large amounts of produce. And when I say large amounts, I'm talking about pallet loads generally. The price is usually set or negotiated with the distributor. A lot of times they'll say, we're going to pay X for a 20-pound case of cauliflower. Or they may say, well, what do you want? And if your price is reasonable, then they'll take that and just add their markup to it. This is mostly larger farms because they send a truck out to you, and they want a large quality of produce when they do that. They'll normally pick up at your farm. Now there may be packaging standards, so they may say that we want it in your produce in a 20-pound box, or if you're doing corn, we want it in a 4 dozen case, so that you might have to do some packaging changes to your facility. They generally require a food safety certification. One of the dangers is you could be sending a lot of produce to them, and they can reject the load at the warehouse. I had that happen to me one time with some corn that they discovered some worms in it, and the whole load was rejected. And when they reject it, they don't bring it back to you. You've got to go pick it up. And also, they can be slow to pay, sometimes 60 to 90 days before you see your payment. Another alternative is direct wholesale sales. And this would be sell directly to retail outlets, restaurants, schools. Now they can be public schools, or if you're a smaller farmer, a real good alternative is charter schools, particularly if you have them in your area. Small grocery stores, and we have some farmers that are selling to the larger ones like Albertsons or Fry's, and also other farms, because farms are always constantly trying to balance out their offerings. So you may have be growing something and offering it that another farm doesn't have, and they may be purchasing it from you. The prices are usually good and the quantities are usually good. In most instances, you're going to be required to deliver the produce. There may be a food safety certification requirement, and many require the highest quality produce. You get a lot of these chefs that are finicky, and you can be doing business with them for several times, and then all of a sudden they reject the load because of one reason or another. Also, some of our growers have run into problems when they set up with restaurants. The restaurant will take their produce, use it for a month, and then put on their menu that they're buying their produce from this local farm, then stop buying from them but not take it off their menu. And that's sort of frustrating to a lot of our farmers. The next one that a lot of folks don't talk about are produce contributions. I want to make sure that if you decide to do any of these, that you sit down with your CPA or your accountant and go over all the options to make sure that everything works for them. What I'm going to be telling you today is I'm fairly certain works, but please check it out. Now, one of the things that a lot of folks do is at the end of, let's say, their farmer's market or their farm stand, they have this additional produce, and you really can't recycle it back through the farm unless you're going to compost it. So what they do is they donate it to the local food bank or some other food agency. And if that's a 501c3 agency, they can take it as a deduction. And one of the farmers in my area that was kind of a mentor to me, he was doing this and found out that he could take the deduction off his taxes, and his CPA said that he could take it for $2 a pound. So he did this for several years, and then he decided that, you know what, maybe I'll get a win-win out of this thing if I just grow and donate everything to the food bank, which he did, and he did that for several years until he retired. Now he had a lot of rentals that he used to offset the rental income with this. So I know a lot of farmers don't have large tax bills, but generally this stuff will only go against your tax bill. Also, Arizona is very friendly to trying to help out farmers. And several years back, the food banks were anxious to get local produce. And so there are some things that the state have done where you can actually get a tax credit against your tax bill. Some of them are only up to $800, but there are also other food banks and whatnot, if they're properly certified, there is no limit to it. So you can take your produce, and if you give them $10,000 worth of produce, you get a $10,000 tax credit, as long as you have a $10,000 tax bill. It's the current year against your current tax bill up to zero. For Sun Produce, we're pretty much involved in everything. We do farmers markets. We don't go to farmers markets where one of our members is participating, but we do sometimes, and we really don't have any farmers stands that are at markets that are just Sun Produce. Generally, smaller farmers markets that don't have any farmers will purchase from us, and we have some farms that will buy produce from us to balance out their farmers market presentation. Many of our farms have stands that they buy from us to balance out their food stands. The CSA program that we have is called Farm Raiser, and it's really a great program. What we do is we partner with local organizations, and they use it as a fundraising project, and we have sites that we will pay them as and each site determines how much of a payout that they want. So our sites range from 8% to 20% of the farm sales. We take care of everything. They just each week put together what their farm box is supposed to look like based on a budget that they have. And we put everything together, deliver it to them, and then they distribute it to their people. We collect the money and then distribute that to at the end of each month to each farm site. Wholesale distributors, we have one wholesale distributor in Tucson that's a member of our organization. And we also, on occasion, sell to the larger distributors in the Phoenix area and Arizona in general. About 2/3 of all of our produce that we sell go to wholesale sales. So we do a lot of sales to restaurants and other particularly other organizations that are food advocates. But what they do is they have the customer base, but they don't have the produce. So they buy we partner with them and they buy the produce. So that's a large portion of our sales. And then we also, on occasion, have we work with nations so that our farmers can, if they have an extra load of something, or they can then go ahead and send it to that NGO and get the tax credit for it. Now, I won't bore you with reading these two paragraphs here that talk about how we were put together in our mission, only to say that in about 2015, a group of us farmers got together under the guidance of Cindy Gentry that was with the county health department to try and put together a food safety program for each farm. And we worked together for probably a year and a half, working on the different things that needed to be done. And at the end of it, we found out that we kind of liked each other, and we were more buddies than we were competitors. So we really didn't want to break apart. So Cindy suggested that we think about putting together a food cooperative. And it seemed like a great idea to all of us. So sometime in 2017, I think it was August or September of 2017, the Sun Produce Cooperative was put together. Currently, our membership, we have 13 member farms and 12 non-member farms. Now, this year, we're going to be making some significant changes, I think. And at some point, we are probably not going to be allowing non-member farms to get onto our availability list. This happened because of the COVID. We just had a tremendous demand for produce, and we needed to go outside and find other farms. We have one distributor, as I told you, which is in Tucson. He both buys from us and sells to us, and he represents 14 farms in southern Arizona. We also have 11 buyers, and the buyers are the folks that buy the produce from us. And then we have 12 what are called FAME users, and that's food and agricultural marketing experts. They're just the local food advocates. So we have a well-balanced organization that works with both on the sales side and on the produce side. Our finances in 2018, which was our first full year, we did $90,000. In 2019, we went up to 190,000 or 109,000. Then in 2020, when COVID came along, we were really pushed to deliver produce. We jumped to 496,000. And this year in 2021, we're at 584, so we'll probably be between 650 and 700,000 by the end of the year. So we're a substantial organization now. We have 3 full-time employees and 2 part-time employees. We have 2 14-foot refrigerated trucks, and that's our website. I encourage you to take a look at it and to see all the things that we do and to see how extensive that our activities are. Our current programs, we have our wholesale sales, and then we have the farm raiser that I told you about. And one of the things that we really like about our farm raiser is the Double Up Food Bucks program, which if you're on SNAP, and we take SNAP at our stands, we also do Double Up Food Bucks. So if we have a $20 bag that you're going to use for SNAP, Double Up Food Bucks will pay for $10 of that bag. So the farmer gets the full $20 and the customer only pays $10. It's really a good program, and it's supported by the state through Pinnacle Prevention, and the state has renewed this program several years, so it really works. And if you're not going to be part of the co-op, or if you're going to do some of those sales on your own, you may want to talk to the folks at Pinnacle about getting Double Up. We do farm to school right now. We're focusing on charter schools. This next year, we're probably going to do a lot of working with the state on their farm to school program to get us more implemented. We have a full function website that handles both information. Folks can come in there and pick a site that they want for their CSA and pay for it at that point. We also have about 450 recipes on there for folks that when they get a head of kale or a bunch of kale, that they can go out there and find recipes for kale. We also have continued on with our food safety. We just work in conjunction. The state has a very good food safety program. We also work with another organization that is a USDA supported one for food safety. And we will, if you're a member of the co-op and you want to do food safety, we have farms that you can work with, and we also have consultants that from these other agencies that we can direct you to. Right now, we don't require food safety certificates to sell through the co-op, but within the next year or two, I'm almost certain that that's going to be the case. And then we have put together a foundation for food insecurity, and it's called Sun Produce Cooperative Foundation. We also have programs that we're going to do this year. Food is medicine. In other words, folks go to a doctor, and the doctor actually writes them a prescription, and then they are able to get healthy produce from us, and then we're actually reimbursed by the insurance companies. We're going to do forward contracting, which means we will contract with the farms for an amount and a price, and it's guaranteed. We're also doing production planning, so that when you do your planning, you'll know what you need to produce, and then we're going to tie that back to the forward contracting, so that you can get, you're not going to have any waste in your products. And then finally, we're going to do value-added produce, which what we're trying to do there is all our produce is raw produce right now. But what really folks really want is for us to take some cabbage and carrots and make coleslaw, or take cauliflower and broccoli and turn them into florets, and add some onions and some carrots and bag them up so that when they come home at night, they don't have to go through all the cleaning process. So given all that, we'd like to encourage you to partner up with us. You can go to our website, and under the About Us is an application, and we encourage you to do that. So I'm ready for some questions. At the top here is my phone number and email and the website. Feel free to contact me on any of these things if you need to, and I'll be glad to work with you. So I'm ready for any questions.
All right, thank you, Dave. So if anyone has any questions, you can put them in the chat box. We do have one from Brian Golding, and he asks, who chooses what goes in a $20 bag, the grower or the buyer?
The buyer. Our growers, what we do is each week they put together what they're willing to offer to the co-op, and we put it onto an availability list, which is sent out to all of our customers. There's about 250 folks that get the availability list, and that includes the site managers. And then the site managers go through those lists and they try to put together a bag, and they'll try to put some onions in there, and some veggies, and some potatoes or sweet potatoes, and some fruit. So they try to balance out the bag, and so a given bag could come from 4 or 5 different farms.
Okay, and then Vicky has a question. What are the qualifications to sign up with the co-op?
Right now, basically, you just fill out the application form. We've never had anybody that submitted a form that we turned down. So you just need to have enough acreage. And when I say enough acreage, I'm only working off about 2.5 acres. So, but you do need enough acreage to make it worthwhile for a truck to come to your place and pick up the produce. That was when I did join the co-op, my goal was to not have to go anywhere, that I could just farm, and once a week or once every couple of weeks, a truck would show up, I'd load up my produce onto the truck, and in a week or two, I'd get a check. So I encourage anybody that thinks they're interested in the co-op, at least go ahead and put in your app or talk to me, and I think there's a really good chance that you'll be accepted.